Hey, shalom, guys. So I'm going to step back for a second, let everybody look at this board. This is what Abba's been teaching me about. This ties into the series that I'm doing right now, but I wasn't expecting to be adding this to the mix, but that's because I'm not running the show here. Abba is. And this ties into that series of what do you call him, because part of what we call our creator has to do with his character. And his character is shown through his people. And so here on the left-hand side of the board, you will see the four skins of Abba's people. Okay, so I've been shown that the Israelites, all 12 tribes of Israel, are not all one skin tone. Like I've heard some groups say that they're all white or that they're all black. They're neither. We are all equally portioned as a people. And so I was shown that the four skin tones of Yahweh's creation is in a model of Tet. Several models to Tet, but I've spoken before about Tet being the 12 tribes of Israel and the setup of the tabernacle. And this is where he showed me that not only are all 12 tribes equally portioned, but they're together. Whereas the world, our earth model here, is separated now because he separated the peoples and the languages. The Tower of Babel, he separated all of us to the four corners of the earth. But now he's bringing us back together so that we can be one. We can be one people again. But the only way that we can be one people is by coming together as a people and uniting as one. Not what the world teaches as uniting, but what Abba Father Yahweh teaches about uniting, being echad in him. So on the right hand side of the board, I have home, bait, is where the lev, the heart is. And then down at the bottom, I have circumcise your heart, okay? And I wanted to explain what the Father has been showing me. So we've got the white people here, okay? Some people would label me as white, but I'm mixed with different skin tones. Many people are. But in the beginning, we were all separated. We all had our own tribes. We were all perfectly unique and beautiful in the eyes of Yahweh. But then centuries went by and now we are a mixed people, many of us. So we have the white people, okay? We've got the yellow people. This is more of an orange. I didn't have yellow. But the yellow people would be more considered your Chinese, Japanese type of skin tone. And then we have the red people, which would be more of the indigenous native people. And then we have our black or dark skin people. We have four skin tones that Abba created. Everyone is equal. There's no black versus white or black versus yellow or any division, because he is not an author of confusion. He is an author of equal weights and equal measures. So this is where we get the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? And he loves us all. That's what Abba's been teaching me, love. Love is where we get the word lev from. And lev is the center of our body, our hearts. Lev is the pictograph's Lamed Beit. Pitch your tent with Elohim. Whose staff is holding up your Beit, your house? Where your treasure is where your heart shall be also. When we have the 4 skin tones of people uniting together as one, we will no longer have a broken heart, a broken camp. We will no longer be battling against people, against nations, over our outward appearances that don't matter, because Yahweh judges the hearts, not what our skin looks like. He judges our hearts, our lev. So once we get our hearts right with him, we will be able to go back home, back to the Garden of Eden. Home is where the heart is. When our hearts get right with Elohim, that is when the gates will be opened and he will welcome us. But if we don't get our hearts right, our lev right with him, we will hear the words, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. Because the Torah is founded upon loving Yahweh. And when you know how to love him, you are putting him one on a list of one. You are putting him first and foremost in your life. And when you put him first and foremost in your life and you give him all your heart, that love that you feel inside of you is like an abundant spring of water that spreads to all 4 corners of the world. I mentioned in my sneak peek that I did a few days ago that right here is the Garden of Eden. And there's 4 rivers that proceeded out of the heart of Eden. And that's talked about in Genesis chapter 2. When we unite, we will be able to go back there. Because a house divided cannot stand. We have to come together as a people, as a nation, not focusing on outward appearances. For centuries, people have been battling against their brothers and sisters of other skin tones. I've been going to the library recently, and I was doing research on the Cherokee people that lived in the area of Georgia that I'm currently living in, and how that ties into this whole topic is this tet symbol right here is a symbol that the Cherokees have had for generation upon generations, because they were not like the other natives here in America before America became the United States. They lived here and dwelled here among other natives. But what made them different is they were ancient Israelites keeping the commands of Elohim. There's a sister I have that I love dearly, Whitney, mwah, who has found out that her family ties go back to the natives. And she even found out that in this area that I happen to live in, that her great, probably some more greats in there, grandfather is James Adair, which is where Adairsville, Georgia, was named after. And he married into the Cherokee tribes, which were not like the other tribes. And he has a diary and a book. I don't have it right here, or I'd show it to you guys, that tells about his accounts of being a part of this tribe and how they tied into the ancient Israelites. But the reason I bring this up is because the natives lived here in America before their white brother came in, the settlers. And some of the people that came in loved dwelling among the natives. James Adair was one of those men. And they learned from the natives, or the ancient Israelites. And the Israelites welcomed them in and taught them about the land. And it was a beautiful thing, but not all white men that came in had a heart full of love. And so what happened, as I've been reading lately, is people were murdered and tortured, and absolutely horrific, horrible things happened to these natives in the entire United States, all of them. Horrible, horrible things that I'm not even going to name. And they drove out these people, the white man did, because they wanted the land and the resources. There's nothing new under the sun, under the coof. We still have a government now, today, who is all about resources and money and prosperity and abundance, things of the world. And they wanted all these resources, all the prettiest lands. If you've ever visited Georgia, the region, the area that they lived in, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful in this area, especially when you get towards the LJ Mountains and so forth. Absolutely gorgeous. But they were driven from their homes. If anybody's familiar with the term, the Trail of Tears or the Trail of Death, it was horrific. But these people were driven off this land, and horrible things happened to them. Well, what people don't realize is all these battles, whether the ones here in America that established this nation, or, you know, the wars that have proceeded since then, like, you know, the North versus the South, you know, and various ones throughout the years, blacks against whites, and all these things are not of Abba. People fighting against people, and what we have here is a recipe of people fighting against people because of their different skin tones, their different looks. And that's why we are a divided people. We are a divided people because people are not pitching their tent with Elohim. They have hate in their hearts. So that's what Abba has been talking to me about, all these wars throughout history. He specifically has been showing me some of this stuff for a while, but I kind of put it all together on this video because he showed me that I'm from the tribe of Zebulun. And one thing I was reading about recently was these battles that were happening here in America, and then I've been kind of tracing my family history and how we got here and all that type of stuff. And anyways, my family, at least on my dad's side, and I guess some on my mom's side too, were from Germany. And I found out last year that the tribe of Zebulun, maybe not as a whole, but they dwelt in Germany. And that's where you get that term Germans. And I'm not saying all people in Germany are from the tribe of Zebulun. I don't know that. I just know that this is what Abba has shown me, that that region over there is where at least part of the tribe of Zebulun either still dwells or was dwelling there. And Zebulun, for people that recall, warred and killed off thousands of Jews, Yehudim, in the Holocaust. So my ancestors, the people that came from Germany, I don't have proof of this, but I suspect there's a high percentage that my people murdered tons of their brother, Yehuda, and sisters. And that's what's been occurring for all these centuries. The enemy has come in, has pitched his tent with mankind, and has been battling with people and the 12 tribes of Israel for centuries, trying to kill everyone off because he wants to kill off the seeds. He wants to wipe us clean from this earth. But Yahweh has better plans, and the enemy will not prevail. That's why we're scattered to the four corners of the earth. We got to stop battling with people, folks. It's not doing us any good. Whether that's physically killing people off through wars and gunfighting and swords and things that they had been doing for thousands of generations, or whether that's through how we speak to people, how we witness our character. Because our characters are either a light unto the nations, the peoples, or they're a darkness. I've had a lot of different examples being shown to me for several weeks now of people in this walk who are claiming Torah, but their heart, their lev, is doing wicked things, saying wicked words, doing wicked deeds. And we need our hearts cleansed if we're going to get back home to the garden. Cleanse our hearts, for we are double-minded. Pray for clarity to understand what true ahav, true love, is all about. Because let me give you an example. The Levitical priesthood was in the center of the camp. Why do you think that is? Because they were to send sacrifices. Sacrifice their hearts. Sacrifice the foreskin of their heart. If they had an issue with a brother or sister, they were to go to that sister or brother before ever coming to the altar to make their animal sacrifice. And that's important, guys, because if our hearts are not right, what sacrifice will do anything? It won't do anything. The Levitical priesthood, the root word to Levitical is lev, the heart. They were in the heart of the camp. Guys, the heart of the camp. They were to burn these offerings so the people could be forgiven. But the heart of the Levitical priest went corrupt. They were no longer pitching their tent with Elohim. They weren't taking care of the widows and the orphans. They became hard-hearted. They weren't taking care of their brethren. All the tribes, they weren't taking care of them. Folks, if we're going to come together and be a nation of one in Abba, we need to stop focusing on skin tones. Abba doesn't judge the skin, he judges the foreskin of our hearts. We hear in our word, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Well, for those that have watched other videos, you will know that one of the models to Lamed, the staff, is also our tongue. The tongue of our house. Out of the abundance of our heart, our lev, the mouth speaks. We bless and we speak beautiful things to our Creator, but then we curse our fellow man through judgments. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't judge with a righteous, zedoch, judgment. But the words that we speak and the deeds that we do to our fellow brethren show where our heart is. I had this presented to me this morning, and I'm going to go grab it real quick and read it to y'all. What we say about others defines who we are. Let me put this up here. What we say about others defines who we are. Say less. Listen more. Those are the words that Abba has given me recently, because I'm not a woman of few words. But with many words, we can do destruction. But when we listen, pay attention, and be silent, we are not as easily tossed about with emotion. Because if you notice that word emotion has motion in it. When you're emotional, you're angry, you're crying, you're sad, you're just uncontrollable, emotional wise. When we get our heart right with Elohim, we will be able to have a clean heart to where we are not tossed about by emotion. So that's what I got for you guys today. Don't focus on the skin tones, guys. Our hearts are being judged. And we need to love people through word and deed. And I want to say this before I get off of here. I don't know who watches all these videos. I know the people that make comments. I receive a lot of positive feedback from people, and I want you guys to know that you're beautiful And I love you. And so does Abba Yahweh and our Adon Yeshua. But I also know that there's probably some people that watch these and they mock and do corruptible things with these messages or say terrible things about me. And I want you to know that for any of those that do watch this, that do that, I want you to know that I still love you. Because I know your heart is broken, and that's why you say or think the things that you do. You know how I know that? Because I've done it too. We're all wicked. It's just some of us are wanting to transform the renewing of our mind, which transforms our hearts. And so I do have a heart for Abba. As much as this sinful, fleshly body can, I have a heart. And I love him very, very much. And I want to know how to love my brethren through word and deed. Not focus on everything that people are doing wrong, but a light that shines to all nations is a light of love. And that's what I'm striving for, is to spread the love, which was what Yahshua's ministry was all about. To spread the good news. To spread the good news to all the nations. All 4 nations. If Yeshua's coming. And he's coming here soon, guys, again. And we need to get our camp in order, our hearts in order. Stop focusing on what everybody else is doing wrong, even if we're shown character defects in people. And they're true. We need to be very careful and soft with people and not overflow with tons of information, but be gentle with people's hearts and reprove them in the spirit of love. Because a heart does not want to change. If somebody's constantly poking and prying at everything that's wrong with them. Pray for the things that you don't like in people. Things that you know that they're in error with. Pray for those things where they are in error. But uplift them in the areas that they are great. Because love covers a multitude of sins. If you do not have love in your heart towards Yahweh's people, he's going to spit you out. He's going to spit you out. Because love is summed up in one area. Love Yahweh with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your mind. And once you do that, that love that shines forth from you will spread to all nations of people. The Torah is summed up and hangs on those two. Love Yahweh and you will be able to love your neighbors, your peoples, of who you come in contact with. Pray every day to be forgiven for the false beliefs and thoughts that you hold within your mind. We all need help. We are so far removed from the yoke, the breast milk of our Creator. We got to get our hearts right, guys. Got to get our hearts right or we won't be able to go back home. I'm telling you. Where your treasure is where your heart shall be also. Do you treasure the things of this earth? Or do you treasure Abba Father Yahweh and his son Yeshua? Because you can take your relationship and all the tools that they can give you, and you can take them with you when you are no longer in this realm. But you can't take all the things and stuff of this earth with you. I'm sorry for anyone I've ever hurt. I humbly ask for your forgiveness. Yahweh knows my heart. And I love y'all. Shalom.
Hey guys, so I didn't mention this in the video, so I thought I'd add it at the end. What you see here in this picture is an awesome example of Yahweh's people coming from the dust, the soil of our earth. This is an example of the peoples, because we read in our scriptures that we came from Edom. And in the pictographs, it shows that Edom is ruddy red. And we were made from the soil, which is all different shades, just like this picture. For dust we are, and dust we shall return.